The keys were slick in my hand. Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. Rain was just starting, a freezing drizzle coating the valet podium. Inside, crystal chandeliers blurred against the glass, music swelled and laughter spilled out. I watched my cousin, Victoria, step out of a black Bentley in her immaculate dress. She saw me standing there in the ill-fitting navy valet vest. Our eyes met. She smiled, a flash of cold, satisfied condescension, and walked past. To her, I was just part of the hired help. I wasn't a guest at this wedding. I was staff. My name is Madelyn Henderson. I'm 29. My family decided I wasn't important enough to sit inside my own cousin's $250,000 wedding. That's when I felt a presence at my shoulder. A stranger. He leaned close, eyes sharp, voice low enough to cut through the hum of engines. You'll want to see this. Before I tell you what that stranger showed me, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Have you ever been treated like you're less than family by your own blood? Hit subscribe, because what happened when I finally walked away from that valet stand changed everything. What he pulled up on his phone, a video file dated 3 months earlier, was going to destroy the perfect family image Victoria had spent 20 years building. The man stood there, not moving, holding his phone out to me like it contained a bomb. But before I could even touch it, before the world exploded, I need to take you back and explain why I was standing on wet asphalt in a cheap vest in the first place. You have to understand the 21 years that led to that moment. My name is Madelyn Henderson. I'm 29, and I work in hospitality management at a mid-tier hotel. I'm good at my job. I handle logistics, budgets, and keeping things running smoothly. Ironically, those are the exact skills my family exploited to put me here, parking cars. I wasn't born into poverty. I was born into a loving, middle-class family. Then the accident happened. Mom and Dad were driving home from their anniversary dinner. A drunk driver ran a red light. I was 8 years old. Aunt Grace, my mother's sister, took me in. Family takes care of family, she said at the funeral, holding my tiny hand. I believed her. Every word. What I didn't understand then was that taking me in wasn't the same as accepting me. To Grace and Uncle Robert, I quickly became the charity case, the constant, quiet reminder that tragedy could strike their otherwise perfect, status-obsessed life in suburban Connecticut. Victoria, my cousin, was only 5 when I moved in. For a while, we were close, playing in the same treehouse, sharing secrets. But as we grew up, the difference in how we were treated, the difference in how we were valued became impossible to ignore. They taught me the quiet, painful lesson that I had to constantly earn my space, while Victoria was simply entitled to hers. This wasn't just neglect, it was systematic. They weaponized my sense of obligation and gratitude. Age 12, my soccer fund versus Victoria's whim. Victoria wanted piano lessons. They were $200 per month. Grace sat me down and said the family budget was suddenly tight. She asked if I could skip my soccer league that season, the one thing I genuinely loved, to save money. Victoria's musical gifts are so special, Grace explained with that practiced, gentle firmness. You understand, right, Madelyn? We have to make sacrifices for the talented ones. I quit soccer. Victoria quit piano 4 months later because she deemed it boring. My sacrifice was irrelevant. Age 15, the inheritance theft. The worst betrayal came when it was time to think about college. Grace sat me down with the papers from my parents' life insurance, $75,000 left in trust for my education. But she had a ledger ready. She explained that living with them for 7 years had cost money. Food, clothes, utilities, healthcare. She said, "We've been keeping receipts. Not to be harsh, but fair is fair." By the time she finished calculating my debt for room and board, $52,000 was deducted. My college fund became a pathetic $23,000. Meanwhile, Victoria's college fund, which had been identical from birth, remained untouched at $80,000. She had monetized my grief. Age 18, the education ban. When I was 18, I applied to schools without telling them. I got into Boston University, a full-ride academic scholarship for hospitality management. I was ecstatic. When I told Grace, her smile disappeared. Her response was instant. "That's wonderful, but Victoria's applying to BU too. It might be awkward if you're both there. Have you considered community college instead? Just for the first 2 years." She manufactured a reason to hold me back. I went to community college. I didn't know then that Victoria would get into BU, party for 3 semesters, fail out, and then transfer to a private college that cost them $60,000 per year, a cost she didn't even have to pay for because her fund was intact. By the time I was 22, I graduated with my associates, working full-time at a hotel, and finishing my bachelor's online. Victoria graduated, barely, and moved straight back home, unemployed, to find her path. I paid $400 per month in rent to Grace and Robert. Victoria paid nothing. I was financially supporting the family that had stolen my own future savings. This history of exploitation led directly to the valet vest. Age 25, Victoria got engaged to Carter Ashford III. Old money, trust fund. Family owns half of downtown Hartford. Suddenly, they needed the ultimate showpiece, the wedding of the century. "Madelyn, you work in hospitality," Grace purred. "You know about events. Can you help Victoria find vendors?" I spent 6 brutal months leveraging every industry connection I had, securing discounts for the venue, caterers, florists, and photographers. I saved their family at least $40,000. I turned their impossible wedding into an affordable one. I never got a thank you. I got a valet vest instead. They didn't just exclude me, they actively erased me. The wall of erasure. In the living room, there were 37 family photos of Victoria, at prom, at graduation, on vacations. There were 3 of me, all from early childhood, tucked behind a lampshade. The Christmas divide. Victoria received jewelry, designer bags, and a car for her 16th birthday. I received practical things, socks, school supplies, a used laptop. Gifts that said, "Be useful," not "celebrated." The script. The way Grace introduced us. "This is my daughter Victoria, and this is Madelyn." Never my niece. Never part of the family. Social media fiction. Victoria's feeds were filled with hundreds of posts about my amazing mom, my supportive family, blessed to have these people. I appeared in exactly 0 photos. 3 months before the wedding, the final insult came. Victoria called me. Rare. "Madelyn, I need a favor." Always a favor. Carter's family is very traditional, very particular about appearances. And the thing is, she paused. That pause was a weapon. What? "We're having assigned seating, and with Carter's side being so large, we're a bit tight on space. Mom thought maybe you could help with parking, as a family contribution. You work in hospitality, so you're perfect for it." My chest went tight. "You want me to work at your wedding?" "Not work. Help. There's a difference." There wasn't. It was the same as being told I was useful, but disposable. "Unless you don't want to support me on my special day." Her voice shifted, turning cold and threatening. "Mom said you'd probably make this difficult." I should have drawn the line. I should have hung up. "I'll think about it." "Don't think too long. We need to finalize staffing." She hung up before I could respond. The invitation arrived 2 weeks later. Not an RSVP card, but a handwritten note from Grace. "Thank you for agreeing to help with parking coordination. Please arrive by 4 p.m. for your vest and instructions. Dinner will be provided in the staff area. No table, no seat, just a vest." I thought keeping my head down and being helpful would eventually earn me a real place at the table. I was about to learn that, to them, being helpful just meant being useful, and useful things get used up and thrown away. The threat was clear. Show up and wear the vest, or don't come at all. Given that Victoria was marrying into the Ashford family, old money, generational wealth, the kind of people who saw my family as new money at best, missing the wedding would have meant permanently severing my already thin tie to them. I was still clinging to the illusion that I needed their approval. The official wedding invitation arrived 2 weeks later. Heavy cardstock, embossed gold lettering, Victoria and Carter's names intertwined like destiny. I opened it, expecting to see a meal choice, an RSVP card, some confirmation that I was a guest. Instead, there was a handwritten note, Grace's handwriting. Madelyn, thank you for agreeing to help with parking coordination. Please arrive by 4 p.m. for your vest and instructions. Dinner will be provided in the staff area. Aunt Grace. No RSVP card, no table number, no meal choice. I wasn't a guest. I was an obligation they'd cleverly repurposed into free labor. I called Grace immediately. There's been a mistake with the invitation. No mistake, she said, her voice clipped, busy. Victoria needs help with parking. You said you'd think about it. We assumed that meant yes. I didn't say yes. Madelyn, this wedding costs $250,000. We've made sacrifices. The least you can do is help for a few hours, unless you'd prefer not to come at all. The threat wasn't a question. It was a declaration of my worth. I'll be there. I gave in because, after 21 years, I was conditioned to always choose acceptance over self-respect. She hung up. The 3 weeks leading up to the wedding were a masterclass in psychological manipulation, designed to normalize my demotion. Week 1, Grace dropped off the valet vest at my small apartment. Navy polyester, cheap fabric, with the venue's corporate logo stitched over the heart. She didn't come inside. Try it on. Make sure it fits. I held the vest like it might burn me. Grace, I need to talk about this. We don't have time for drama, Madelyn. The wedding is in 3 weeks. Victoria's stressed. This is how you help family. She left before I could argue. The vest felt like a uniform for my shame. Week 2, family dinner at Grace and Robert's house. Victoria was showing everyone her final seating chart, a massive printed diagram with elegant calligraphy. Madelyn's not on here, Aunt Carol noted, peering over the chart. Madelyn's helping with parking, Victoria announced with a bright, performative smile. It was like she was announcing an act of extraordinary generosity on my part. I didn't offer, but everyone was nodding, impressed by my selflessness. Uncle Robert clapped me on the shoulder. Good person. Family pitches in. I sat there, tasting bile instead of the expensive wine. They were now using the lie of my volunteerism to project an image of familial sacrifice to the extended family. I felt sick. Week 3, I wasn't invited to the rehearsal dinner at an exclusive country club, but Victoria still found a way to use me. She texted me, "Can you pick up the programs from the printer? They're ready early. Would save Mom a trip." I picked them up, paid the $15 pickup fee myself, delivered them to Grace's house. Victoria answered the door in her designer rehearsal dress, probably costing more than my car. Oh, good. Just leave them in the garage. Not thank you, not come in, just a dismissal. I left them in the garage, drove home, and sat in my apartment wondering when I'd become someone whose presence was tolerated, but whose self-respect was utterly unwanted. But what happened the morning of the wedding, when I showed up at 4 p.m. like instructed and saw my actual station, made me realize this wasn't about helping family. This was about showing me exactly where I ranked. It was the final, undeniable proof that I was disposable. The venue was estate level, a mansion with manicured gardens, a fountain courtyard, and breathtaking views of Long Island Sound. The kind of place that screams old money. I arrived at 4 p.m. I changed into the valet vest in the staff room, a room with no windows and peeling paint, and looked at myself in the mirror. I barely recognized the person staring back, a shadow, wearing a uniform that declared her subservience. The valet coordinator, actual paid staff, a student named Mike, gave me my assignment. You're on the front circle. Keys go on the numbered board. If anyone asks for their car during the event, radio me. Got it. Then he leaned closer. Oh, and try to keep a low profile. The bride's family specifically requested that non-uniformed staff stay out of sight as much as possible. Non-uniformed. He meant me, the person wearing the vest that didn't match the actual valet company's color, the person whose face was familiar to the bride. Guests started arriving at 5:30. Mercedes, BMWs, Range Rovers, Carter's side. Impeccably dressed, casually wealthy. The families Victoria had spent 2 years attempting to infiltrate. Then came Victoria's friends from college, girls I'd met over the years.
Emma, who'd been to our house dozens of times, Sophia, who'd borrowed money from me once and never paid it back. Emma saw me first, did a double take. "Madelyn, what are you doing out here?" "Helping with parking." "Oh." Her expression shifted instantly, pity mixed with embarrassment for being seen talking to me. "That's nice of you." She hurried inside. Within minutes, I saw her whispering to Sophia. Both glanced back at me, a quick, dismissive flash of judgment, before they disappeared into the venue. Every luxury car I parked, every key I tagged, felt like driving away a piece of my dignity. At 6:15, Grace emerged with the wedding coordinator, both perfectly coiffed. She saw me standing by the valet podium. "Madelyn, the ceremony is about to start. You can watch from the side terrace if you want. Just stay out of the photographer's sightlines." I thought maybe I could sit in the back. "The ceremony seating is full. Family and close friends only." She said it without irony, like I wasn't family. I watched the ceremony from a side terrace, through cold glass doors, standing next to a large potted fern. It felt like watching a movie I wasn't invited to be part of. Victoria looked beautiful. Carter looked proud. Grace cried. No one looked for me. After the ceremony, guests moved to the reception. I hoped, desperately hoped, there would be a small table for me inside. The valet coordinator found me instead. "Hey, someone's requesting their car. Older couple, said they're not feeling well." Back to work. By 7:30, dinner was being served inside. I could smell the filet mignon, the roasted vegetables, the expensive wine wafting from the open doors. The coordinator brought me a plate. Staff meal, chicken fingers and fries. On a disposable plate. "You can eat in the staff tent out back. There's a break area." I sat alone in a tent with catering staff. I didn't know eating food meant for children, while my family celebrated their triumph 200 yards away.
Around 8 p.m., I heard laughter, loud and shrill, coming from the terrace. Victoria and her bridesmaids, champagne glasses clinking, taking pictures. I was walking back from the staff tent and they saw me. "Oh my God," one of them, Natalie, said. "Is that Madelyn?" Victoria turned, saw me in the valet vest. Her expression flickered with a brief, almost invisible flash of guilt, then it hardened into pure mockery. "Madelyn, how's parking going?" Her bridesmaids giggled. "It's fine," I said. I tried to walk past. "Wait," Victoria called, stopping me. "Come take a picture of us. You're good at that stuff." She handed me her phone, a $1,200 iPhone. She didn't say please. She didn't even look at me. I took their pictures, focusing the lens on their dazzling smiles and perfect gowns. I handed the phone back. "Thanks," Victoria chirped, bright, empty. Then they disappeared back inside, laughter trailing behind them. I stood in the parking lot, rain starting to fall again, and something inside me just broke. I was done chasing a place I was never going to be allowed to have. At 9 p.m., the rain got heavier. I was soaked. The coordinator, Mike, took pity on me. "You can use the staff corridor to dry off." I was walking through the deserted hallway when I heard my name. "Madelyn?" Grace, standing there alone. "You're soaked. Are you okay?" Her eyes looked genuinely worried. I stared at her. "Am I okay?" "Come here." She pulled me into a small side room and closed the door. "I know this is hard." "Hard? I know we've asked a lot of you today." Her eyes were wet, real tears. Victoria's wedding is so important, and we've been under so much financial pressure. The house needs repairs, Robert's business has some debt we're managing." She took my hands. "I'm sorry we couldn't include you the way you deserved, but you've been so generous, helping with vendors and now this. You're a good person, Madelyn, better than any of us deserve." My anger softened. This was the woman who raised me. "I just want to be part of the family," I whispered. "You are. You always have been." She hugged me tight. "After today, things will be better. I promise. We'll have you over for dinner. Make it up to you." I believed her. Again, 21 years of programming told me that if I just waited, if I was just good enough, the love would finally come. I went back outside, clinging to Grace's false promise. At 9:45 p.m., a distinguished older gentleman asked for his car. "Beautiful wedding. Are you family or hired staff?" The question gutted me one last time. Both, I guess.
He looked confused but drove off. At 10 p.m., my actual replacement arrived. "You're done. Thanks for helping out." "Can I go inside now? For the reception?" He checked his tablet. I don't see you on the guest list. Sorry, ma'am." I wasn't even on the guest list. Grace's promise was meaningless. I changed out of the vest, walked to my beat-up car, and was about to leave, to just disappear into the night, when the man tapped on my window. He was early 40s, sharp suit, not a guest I'd parked. I rolled down the window. "Madelyn Henderson?" "Yeah?" He held up his phone. "You'll want to see this." The video on his phone showed Victoria, in Grace's living room, 3 months earlier. I know it's harsh, but honestly, Madelyn's presence would just bring down the whole aesthetic. Carter's family is already asking questions about my background. The last thing I need is my charity case cousin sitting at a family table. The man locked his phone. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice raw. He handed me a business card. "Aaron Sterling, I'm Carter's older brother, and I've been recording Victoria's phone calls for 3 months. "Why?" "Because she's trying to scam my family, and you're going to help me prove it."
I sat in my beat-up car, a stark contrast to the stream of luxury vehicles pulling away from the mansion. Aaron Sterling was in the passenger seat, his expensive suit looking perfectly pressed despite the drizzle that had started up again. Inside, the reception was hitting its peak, the pulse of a bass line, the roar of laughter. And I was out here, learning that my humiliation, the valet vest, the staff meal, the deliberate public dismissal, had been planned, premeditated, discussed. "Play the video again," I said. Aaron pulled out his phone, pressed play. Victoria's voice, clear and cold, filled the silent car. "Carter keeps asking why Madelyn isn't in the wedding party. I told him Madelyn's working that day and offered to help with parking as a gift. He bought it, but honestly, Madelyn's presence would just bring down the whole aesthetic." The person on the other end, another woman's voice, I realized, laughed. It was short and dismissive. "That's so harsh, Vic. It's practical. Carter's family is old money. They judge. My mom and I agreed that it's better if Madelyn stays in a background role. Out of sight, out of mind. What about after the wedding?" "After the wedding, it doesn't matter. Once I'm in Ashford, I won't need to pretend anymore." The video ended. I stared at the dark screen. The laughter from inside the mansion suddenly sounded like a physical blow. Who's she talking to? Her friend Ashley, bridesmaid, the blonde one. I remembered Ashley, one of the girls laughing on the terrace when Victoria had forced me to take their picture. She was in on the joke. They all were. "Why are you recording her?" I asked, the rage finally starting to rise, cold and clean. Aaron's expression hardened. "Because 3 months ago, I found out Victoria's been lying to my parents about pretty much everything. Her education, her job history, even her family situation. She's built a facade for a reason." "What do you mean?" "She told my parents she went to an Ivy League school. She didn't. She transferred after barely passing at BU. She claims she works in marketing, but she's been unemployed for 2 years. Most importantly, she told them she comes from a modest but loving family that values education and hard work." He pulled up another video. This one showed Victoria at what looked like an expensive restaurant, talking to an older, distinguished couple, Carter's parents. "My parents sacrificed everything to raise me and my cousin Madelyn after his parents died. We're very close, like siblings really. They taught us that family is everything." The lies were so smooth, so practiced. A polished performance for the future in-laws. "She's been building this persona for a year," Aaron said, his voice clipped with professional annoyance. "My parents eat it up, but I work in private investigation. Did background checks when Carter first got serious with her. Found inconsistencies." "Why are you telling me this? Why involve me?" "Because you're the proof," Aaron stated simply, turning to face me fully. "You're the family member she's been using as a prop in her stories, while treating you like staff in real life. That contrast, that's what's going to expose her." My hands were shaking, but not from the cold anymore. "They won't believe me," I choked out. "They've known Victoria her whole life." They will when they see the videos. I have 12 recordings of Victoria trashing you, lying about her background, admitting she's marrying Carter for money. But I need someone from the inside, someone with standing, someone who has nothing to lose. I looked toward the venue, lights glowing, music pulsing. Victoria had everything in there. The wedding, the husband, the new family, the fresh start. And I had nothing, not even a seat. What happens if I do this? I asked. Victoria's marriage might survive. Wealthy families forgive a lot for the sake of appearances. But my parents will know who she really is. They'll cut her off financially. No trust fund access, no house, no social connections. She'll have Carter, but she'll have earned him honestly instead of through deception. And Grace? Your aunt. She's complicit. She backed every lie. She's in some of these videos, coaching Victoria on what to say about your parents' deaths, making it sound more tragic for effect. She knew you were parking cars while she was telling the Ashfords what a generous helper you were. Something cold settled in my chest. Clarity, sharp and painful. I thought if I just kept helping, kept being useful, they'd finally see me as family. They saw you as a resource. There's a difference, and they used you until you were inconvenient. I thought about 8-year-old me, getting dropped off at Grace's house, being told I was lucky, that family takes care of family. 21 years of being grateful for crumbs. What do I have to do? I asked. And the simple question felt like the breaking of chains. Aaron smiled, a genuine, unsettling expression. There's a microphone in the reception for toasts. I need you to go in there, take that microphone, and tell everyone exactly how you spent today. And then, when all eyes are on you, I'll play the videos on the reception screens. They'll hate me. They already don't value you, he countered, echoing my own despairing thought from the parking lot. What's the difference? You already have the valet vest. You've already paid the price of their disdain. Now it's time for them to pay for yours. He was right. Victoria once told me at a family dinner that I'd always be welcome in her life because family is everything. I didn't realize then that she'd been practicing that line, testing it out, perfecting the performance she'd used to trap a rich husband. That practiced, sweet line was about to become her public confession.
The car smelled of expensive leather and cold rain. Aaron Sterling's Mercedes was parked 2 rows back from the main entrance, a quiet bubble of conspiracy on the edge of a lavish party. I was still damp from the drizzle, the adrenaline finally starting to counteract the lingering cold. "This is everything I have," Aaron said, opening his laptop. The glow of the screen illuminated Victoria's face in the passenger window. She looked relaxed, casual, completely unaware of the camera. 12 video files, all dated across the past 3 months, all showing her in unguarded moments talking to friends, talking to Grace, or talking to the Ashfords. Every file was a lie, meticulously recorded. "How did you get these?" I asked, my voice barely a rasp. Aaron gave me a quick, professional look. "Victoria's been staying at my parents' Connecticut estate while planning the wedding. I installed cameras in the common areas after I found the first lie. Completely legal. My parents' house, my parents' permission. Once I showed them, I had concerns about her stability." He clicked on a clip. Victoria and Grace in a sunroom 3 weeks ago, sunlight pouring through the glass. They looked like the perfect mother and daughter duo. "Madelyn will do anything we ask. Always has. It's actually kind of pathetic, but useful." Grace nodded, her eyes fixed on Victoria, not the camera. "She's been grateful since day one. Grateful people don't make waves."
Exactly. And Carter's family needs to see that I come from a family with strong values. Having Madelyn there parking cars actually helps. It shows we're humble, that we don't mind pitching in. "You're sure Carter doesn't suspect anything about the money?" Grace whispered. "Carter sees what I show him. A devoted daughter from a close family. He has no idea." The video ended. I felt sick, pathetic, useful, grateful. Those 3 words, their private description of me, burned hotter than any rejection I'd ever experienced. That was the framework of their relationship with me. It wasn't about love or acceptance. It was about managing a resource. There's more, Aaron continued, switching the screen to financial documents. Victoria told my parents she was investing her own money in a high-growth startup. She borrowed them $50,000 to match their investment. The startup doesn't exist. She used the money for the wedding, paying the florist and the venue. They'll want that money back, I said. It wasn't a question. They will, Aaron confirmed. And when a marriage starts with the groom's family knowing the bride is a liar and a thief, that's a difficult conversation to have. What's your angle in this? I asked, looking past the laptop screen at the man. Why do you care enough to risk blowing up your brother's wedding? Aaron closed the laptop slowly. My brother is a good person. He thinks he's marrying someone genuine. She loves his bank account. I can't stop the wedding. It's done. But I can make sure he knows who he married before she does real systemic damage. My job is to protect the Ashford name and the Ashford money. Victoria is a liability. There's someone else you should meet, Aaron said, pulling out his phone to text. 2 minutes later, another luxury car, a sleek black sedan, pulled up beside us. A woman got out, mid-40s, sharp, professional-looking, carrying a leather folder that screened high-powered attorney. She slid into the back seat. Madelyn, this is Catherine Oakes. She's a family attorney, also happens to be Carter's godmother. Catherine leaned forward and shook my hand firmly. I've heard a lot about you, Madelyn. None of it from Victoria. Nice to meet you, I managed. Aaron brought me into this 3 weeks ago. I've been reviewing Victoria's claims about her background, her education, her employment, everything she told the Ashford family during engagement negotiations, especially where it intersects with their signed prenup agreement. Engagement negotiations? Old money families do prenups carefully. Victoria signed documents swearing her financial and personal disclosures were accurate. They weren't. That's fraud. Catherine opened her leather folder. Inside were official, annotated documents. Victoria claimed she had $30,000 in savings. She has $3,000 and $15,000 in credit card debt. She claimed she graduated summa cum laude. She graduated with a 2.7 GPA. She claimed she works as a marketing director, making $75,000 per year. She hasn't been employed in 26 months. If this comes out during the marriage, Carter can file for annulment based on fraud. The prenup becomes void because she lied in the initial disclosures. She gets nothing. You're planning to destroy her, I said, finally naming the goal. We're planning to protect Carter and the Ashford legacy, Catherine corrected. You, Madelyn, are the living proof that she has been doing this to everyone, not just the Ashfords. Your story validates our evidence. We spent the next hour in that car going over the plan. It was surgical, precise, and utterly terrifying. Step 1, my confession, the catalyst. I walk into the reception during the toast portion, request the microphone, tell my story, exactly how I was treated today, what I was asked to do, and the betrayal of the valet vest. Step 2, the evidence drop, the hammer. Aaron, positioned in the tech booth, plays the video reel on the reception screens the moment I give the verbal cue. Step 3, the legal threat, the consequence. Catherine stands and announces her legal complaint with the state about fraudulent marriage documents. The public threat from Carter's godmother is enough to make the wedding an instant legal liability. Step 4, chaos control. We let the chaos unfold naturally. Victoria will try to lie her way out of it. She's good at it. But with you telling the truth and the videos backing it up, she can't spin this. What about Grace? I asked, the name catching in my throat. She's my family, my aunt. She took me in. Catherine's expression softened. She also exploited you for 21 years. Taking you in was the bare minimum after your parents died. What she did after, that was exploitation. What if I can't do it? I asked, a wave of cold fear finally washing over me. Then Victoria wins, Aaron said simply. She gets the rich husband, the trust fund, the social status, and you go back to being the family member who parks cars. You sacrifice your self-respect for their comfort. He pulled up one more video. This one was recorded earlier today. Victoria and her bridesmaids in the bridal suite. "I kind of feel bad about the parking thing," one of them said. Victoria laughed, a sound like cracking ice. "Don't. Madelyn's used to it. She's been taking scraps her whole life. Probably doesn't even realize she's being treated badly." The bridesmaid, Natalie, looked uncertain. "I don't know, Vic. Making family work your wedding seems harsh." "She's not really family, not to Carter's side. And honestly, after today, I won't have to deal with her anymore. Once I'm officially in Ashford, I can phase out the old connections, start fresh." The video ended. She was planning to cut me off completely. The valet vest wasn't just a humiliation. It was the soft launch of my permanent exile. I'd spent 21 years hoping to earn a place in a family that never intended to keep me. "I'll do it," I said. My voice was low, but steady. We spent the next 30 minutes creating the weapon. Aaron created the highlight reel, the most damaging clips edited together for maximum, impossible-to-deny impact. 7 minutes of devastating footage. "The AV system is ready," Aaron confirmed. "I'll be in the tech booth. You get the microphone, start talking. I'll wait for your signal. When you say, 'But that's not the whole story,' I'll start the playback." Catherine handed me her card. "After this ends, you'll need legal advice. The family might try to retaliate. I'll represent you pro bono, Madelyn, because you deserve to be protected." "Why would you do that?" "Because I've watched the Ashford family dynamics for 30 years. Carter deserves better than a marriage built on lies. And you, Madelyn, deserve better than what your family did to you." We had a plan. We had evidence. We had the timing. What we didn't know was that while we sat in the dark car 2 rows away, making final preparations, Victoria had been watching the parking lot from a window. She'd seen me talking intently to Aaron. She'd seen Catherine arrive and slide into the back seat. Victoria knew something was wrong, and she was about to make a move that could end everything before I ever reached the microphone. The clock had officially started.
10:47 p.m. The reception was in full swing. I stood just outside the massive ballroom doors, the brass handles cool under my palms. I could hear the DJ announcing the start of the toasts. Aaron was in the tech booth, a silent sentinel. Catherine was seated at a table near the back, looking like an ordinary, impeccably dressed guest. I was wearing the only clothes I had, black pants and a simple white button-down, the attire of a professional, not a partygoer, but definitely not the valet vest. I pushed through the doors. The ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers blazed, huge flower arrangements scented the air, and 200 guests gleamed in designer attire. Victoria and Carter were at the head table, the picture of a golden couple. She looked radiant. He looked utterly happy. Grace and Robert were at the prime table too, front and center. The DJ handed the microphone to Carter's father for the first toast. He spoke about love, about family traditions, about welcoming Victoria into the Ashford legacy. Polite applause followed. Then Grace stood for the mother of the bride toast. "I'm so grateful to be here celebrating Victoria and Carter," she began, her voice thick with emotion. "As a mother, you dream of this day, seeing your daughter find someone who values her, who sees her worth." My hands clenched. 21 years of this performance. "And I'm grateful for our family, for the values we instilled, for teaching Victoria that family is everything." More applause. She sat down, smiled at Victoria, and never looked toward the entrance. She probably assumed the help had been dismissed and gone home. The DJ stepped back to the mic. "Any other toasts before we—" "I have one." Every head in the room turned. I walked toward the front. Slowly, deliberately. Victoria's face went from radiant white to a blotchy red, then back to a sickly white. The DJ, completely flustered, hesitantly handed me the microphone. I stood at the front of the ballroom, 200 faces watching. "Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Madelyn Henderson, Victoria's cousin." Murmurs immediately swept through the room. Why was he just now being acknowledged? "I want to thank Victoria and Carter for including me today, for giving me the opportunity to be part of this celebration.
Victoria's shoulders relaxed slightly. She thought I was being sincere, offering a forced, pathetic peace. I spent today parking cars, not as a guest, as staff, because my family decided that was the most appropriate role for me at my own cousin's wedding. The murmurs got louder, transforming into confused, uncomfortable chatter. I wasn't invited to the ceremony. I watched through glass doors. I wasn't given a seat at the reception. I ate chicken fingers in a staff tent. And when Victoria's friends saw me in a valet vest, they laughed. Carter turned to Victoria, his brows furrowed. What's he talking about? She opened her mouth, closed it. The panic was visible. But that's not the whole story. Aaron's cue. The massive screens around the ballroom, meant to display slideshows, flickered, then showed video. Victoria's face, captured in high-definition deception. Her voice, crystal clear, echoed across the silent room. Madelyn's presence would just bring down the whole aesthetic. Carter's family is already asking questions about my background. The last thing I need is my charity case cousin sitting at a family table. Gasps, sharp, collective. The video continued. Victoria and Grace laughing about managing Madelyn. Victoria admitting she was using me as a prop. Carter stood up abruptly, chair scraping backward. Victoria, what is this? It's edited, she shrieked immediately. Someone's trying to sabotage. The next clip played. Victoria with her friend Ashley. I'm marrying Carter for his money, obviously. The love story is just what I tell his parents. They eat it up. The room erupted into chaos. People talking over each other, horrified. Carter's mother was standing, her hand over her mouth. Grace was pale as death. Catherine Oakes stood. She walked to the front, professional and calm, and took the microphone from my numb hand. For those who don't know me, I'm Catherine Oakes, family attorney for the Ashford family and Carter's godmother. The name brought silence. 3 weeks ago, I was made aware of systemic discrepancies in Victoria's financial disclosures during prenuptial negotiations. I've since confirmed that she provided fraudulent information about her education, employment, and financial status. She pulled documents from her folder. Victoria claimed summa cum laude graduation. She graduated with a 2.7 GPA. She claimed current employment making $75,000 annually. She hasn't been employed in over 2 years. She claimed savings of $30,000. She has $15,000 in credit card debt. Carter looked at Victoria, utter disbelief twisting his face. You took money from my parents? Baby, I can explain. She also, Catherine's voice cut through the protest, told your family that she came from a modest but close-knit family that values sacrifice. The person who just spoke, Madelyn, lost his parents at 8. Victoria's family took her in, then spent 21 years exploiting her gratitude while telling her to be grateful. Today, they made her work as staff at a family wedding. More videos played. Grace and Victoria laughing about managing Madelyn, Victoria admitting she was using me as a prop. Carter's father, Richard, a formidable man, stood up. Richard, did you know about this? Grace's husband looked physically ill. There were circumstances. Circumstances? Carter's mother's voice was frigid. You made a child pay room and board from his inheritance after his parents died? You stole his future savings? Aaron appeared from the tech booth, walking swiftly to the front to stand beside me. I'm Aaron Sterling, Carter's older brother. I've been investigating Victoria for 3 months because I knew something was off. You knew? Carter asked his brother. I tried to tell you. You said I was paranoid, so I got proof. Aaron pulled up his phone, connecting it to the screen system one last time. This was recorded 2 weeks ago, Victoria talking to her friend about the end game. The video played. Victoria and Ashley at a coffee shop. Honestly, once I'm married, the prenup doesn't matter. Carter is too nice to ever enforce it. I give it 2 years before I'm pregnant, and then I'm set for life. Even if we divorce, I'll get child support from a trust fund baby. It's basically a pension plan. Carter pushed away from the head table so fast his chair crashed to the floor. Get out. Baby, please, Victoria reached for him. He took a large, deliberate step back. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me. Victoria's face crumpled, the perfectly sculpted bride dissolving into a sobbing wreck. This is all Madelyn's fault. He's always been bitter, always trying to ruin things for me. I have 12 videos, Aaron said, pointing at the screens that now showed a montage of all the lies. 12 separate conversations where you admit to lying, to using people, to marrying my brother for money. Madelyn didn't make you say those things. She didn't make you treat her like staff at your own wedding. You did that. Carter's father cut off Grace, who was stumbling toward them. We want our $50,000 back, and you are no longer welcome in our home. Caffrey stepped forward, holding the final document. Mr. Ashford, these are annulment papers based on fraudulent inducement. If you'd like to file, I can submit them tomorrow morning. Carter took the papers. He looked at them, looked at Victoria. He turned and walked out of the ballroom, his parents and siblings following in a silent, thunderous procession. Half the remaining guests stood and joined the exodus. The DJ had killed the music, the catering staff stood motionless. Victoria stood in her $15,000 wedding dress, makeup streaking, as the ballroom emptied around her. Are you happy now? She hissed at me, her voice raw. You destroyed my wedding. You destroyed your wedding, I said, lowering the microphone. I just showed people who you really are. Grace approached, tearful. Madelyn, please, we can fix this, as a family. We're not family, I said. You made that clear today. You've been making that clear for 21 years. I just finally listened. I turned, walked away from the ruined dream, Aaron and Catherine following. Outside, in the suddenly quiet parking lot, I finally let myself breathe. How do you feel? Aaron asked. I don't know yet. Empty. And maybe free. Catherine handed me her card again. They may try to sue you for defamation, but everything you said was documented truth. You're protected. Call me tomorrow. What happens to Victoria now? Carter will file for annulment. His family will demand their money back. Victoria and her mother will likely face a civil suit, and they'll never be welcome in any of the circles they tried to impress. Good, I said, and the single word was the truest thing I'd said all night. As we stood there, my phone buzzed, a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Carter. I'm sorry for what my family put you through tonight, and I'm sorry I didn't know what was happening to you. You deserved better. We all did. I stared at the message. Even in his worst moment, the injured party was apologizing to the victim. Victoria never deserved him.
The next 3 months were messy, quiet and necessary. The revenge was swift, but the fallout was slow, toxic and personal. The annulment went through. Carter filed on grounds of fraudulent inducement. The prenup was voided immediately. Victoria got nothing. Not the house, not the settlement, not the ring. Her future was wiped clean. The Ashford family did exactly what Aaron predicted. They sued Victoria and Grace for the return of the $50,000 startup investment. They won instantly. Grace had to take a second mortgage on the house to pay it back, destroying the financial stability Robert's business had provided. Victoria moved back in with her parents. No job, no husband, no social standing. The entire Connecticut society crowd, the one she'd worked 2 years to impress, blacklisted her completely. Her Instagram, once a curated shrine of wedding planning and blessed captions, went dark, then was deleted entirely. She had been erased from the digital world she valued so highly. Grace stopped attending family functions. She stopped hosting holidays. The extended family, having seen the videos and the receipts, wanted nothing to do with the scandal. Robert's commercial real estate business took a hit, too. Turns out, people don't want to sign million-dollar deals with a man who forced an orphaned child to pay back his life insurance money for room and board. Carter started therapy. I know because he texted me updates occasionally. We weren't friends, but we had a mutual respect, born in the wreckage of his engagement. He was honest about how much the betrayal hurt. I was honest about how long I'd known pain. Victoria sent me one email. I hope you're happy. You ruined my life over parking cars. I never responded. She still didn't understand the difference between a minor slight and 21 years of calculated abuse. The hardest part wasn't Victoria's spectacular downfall. It was the smaller, quiet casualties of the collateral damage. Grace's mother, my own grandmother, called me 2 months after the wedding. Madeline, I don't understand what happened. Grace said there was a misunderstanding.
There wasn't a misunderstanding, Grandma. There were 21 years of being treated like I didn't matter. They stole from me. But family takes care of each other. They took from me. She didn't call again. Victoria's younger sister, Emily, 17, sent me a direct message on Instagram. My parents won't talk about what happened, but I watched the videos. I'm sorry, Madelyn. I didn't know they treated you like that. Emily was innocent. She'd probably been too young to grasp the true scope of the dynamic until that night. It's not your fault, I replied. Will you ever forgive them? I stared at that message for a long time. It was the only question that mattered, and the one I couldn't answer. I don't know. She never responded. The encounter that hurt most, I ran into Robert at a gas station 6 weeks after the wedding. He saw me standing by the pump. He started to walk toward me, perhaps to apologize or maybe to scream. Then he stopped. He turned around, got back in his car, and drove away without even getting gas. He couldn't even face me. 21 years of living under his roof, and he couldn't look me in the eye when the truth came out. The first thing I did was move. Found a better place, 1 bedroom with actual natural light and a kitchen big enough to cook in. A space that felt like mine, not a temporary stop. I got promoted at work, hotel management to regional operations director. Turns out, when you're not spending all your energy trying to earn scraps of approval, you have bandwidth for your actual career. I started therapy, twice a week at first, then weekly. Do you regret what you did? My therapist asked one session. I regret that it had to happen. I don't regret doing it. What's the difference? I spent 21 years hoping they'd change, hoping I'd finally be enough. The wedding just proved what I already knew, but couldn't admit. They were never going to see me as family. And now? Now I'm building my own family. People who choose to be in my life, not people obligated by blood. I adopted a dog, a rescued German Shepherd mix named Cooper. He follows me around the apartment like I'm the most important person in the world. That's what unconditional, non-exploitive family should feel like. I'm starting to date, nothing serious, just learning what it feels like to be chosen instead of tolerated. I was at Target, random Tuesday afternoon. I needed laundry detergent. I turned the corner into the cleaning aisle. Victoria was there. We both froze. The encounter was immediate and brutal in its awkward silence. She looked different, thinner, tired, no designer clothes, just jeans and a hoodie. Her cart was full of generic brands, the remnants of a life that was built on credit and lies. Madeline. Victoria. How are you? She finally asked. Good. You? I'm managing. Working retail now. Target, actually. She gestured around like I couldn't tell where we were. The irony was suffocating. That's good. More heavy silence. I'm sorry, she said. Her voice was quiet. It wasn't the high-pitched performative apology she'd perfected. It was just tired. For everything. I was awful to you. I studied her face, searching for the manipulation, the old performance. Didn't see it, just saw someone broken and remorseful. Okay. Okay. I heard you. I don't know if I forgive you, but I heard you. She nodded. That's fair. Are you happy? I asked. She laughed, a short, bitter sound. No, but I'm learning to live with the consequences of my choices. That's something I never had to do before. I started to walk away. Madeline? I turned back. You deserved better. From all of us. I know that now. I nodded. Yeah, I did. I left her there in the cleaning aisle. Didn't look back. Some nights I still wonder if I should have just walked away. Let Victoria have her perfect wedding. Let Grace keep her perfect image. It would have been easier, quieter, No confrontation, no fallout, no family members I'll never speak to again. But then I remember, walking away would have taught them that they could keep using people without consequence. Standing up, even when it cost me the only family I'd known, taught them that actions matter. It cost them everything. It cost me an illusion. I'm still figuring out if it was worth it. Ask me tomorrow. The answer might be different. But today I have an apartment I chose, a job I earned, a dog who loves me, and people in my life who choose to be there. That has to count for something.
The music has stopped, the guests have gone home, and the dust has settled. But for me, the questions have just begun. I want to hear from you, the community that understands what it means to choose freedom over biology. Here's what I want to know. If you were at that wedding as a guest, watching me park cars, seeing Victoria's treatment, hearing those toasts about family values, what would you have done? Would you have stayed quiet? Most people do. It's not your business, not your drama. Would you have said something to me privately, offered sympathy without action? Or would you have confronted the family right then, called out the hypocrisy while everyone was watching? Be honest in the comments. Because I'm genuinely curious how many people see injustice and actually do something versus how many just feel bad and move on. No judgment either way, but I want to know, which person are you in that ballroom? Let's talk strategy. Looking back, what should I have done differently? Option A, just leave. The moment I saw the valet vest, turn around, get in my car, disappear. No confrontation, no revenge, just a silent exit. Option B, handle it privately. Pull Victoria and Grace aside, tell them how I feel, give them a chance to make it right without public humiliation. Option C, go further than I did. Not just expose the lies, but pursue legal action for the inheritance money, for emotional distress. Make the consequences even harder. Option D, something else I'm not seeing. Because here's the thing. Revenge feels good in the moment, but there's collateral damage. People who didn't deserve to get hurt got hurt anyway. So tell me, where's the line between standing up for yourself and going too far? Did I cross it? The question that keeps me up at night. Victoria's younger sister, Emily, was 17. She didn't do anything to me, but she watched her family implode, watched her sister's marriage end, watched her parents lose their social standing. Was that fair? Victoria's grandmother, my grandmother, still doesn't really understand what happened. She just knows the family fell apart. Carter loved Victoria, really loved her. I destroyed that love. Yes, she lied. Yes, she used him, but he was happy in his ignorance. Did I do him a favor? Or did I just transfer my pain onto him? At what point does exposing the truth become just another form of cruelty? I'm genuinely asking, because I don't know the answer. Last question, and this one's for anyone who's ever been the family afterthought. When did you finally stop trying to earn a place at the table? What was your breaking point? Was it one big moment, or 1,000 small cuts that finally added up to enough? And after you stopped trying, did you regret it? Or did you wish you'd stopped sooner? For me, it was standing in a parking lot in a valet vest while my family celebrated inside. That was the moment I realized I was never going to be let in. So I stopped knocking. But it took 21 years to get there. How long did it take you? Share your story in the comments, because I think there are a lot more of us than we realize. And maybe knowing we're not alone makes it hurt less. If this story resonated, if you've ever been made to feel less than by the people who should have lifted you up, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories about family betrayal, toxic relationships, and what it actually costs to stand up for yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's still parking cars, literally or metaphorically, for people who don't see their worth. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to be used, even when it costs everything. Even when the people you expose are the ones who raised you,
even when you're still figuring out if you made the right choice. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I know I did the only thing I could live with. And some days, that's enough.